Well, the title of our podcast episode today is Communication Moves Mountains. And it definitely moves the divorce forward or any conflict that you may be involved in, workplace conflict, family conflict. Communication moves mountains. It really does change the course of the conflict. And why is that? Well, the words we choose, the tone of voice we use is either one that it allows us to be heard, to be understood, engages the other person that you're in conflict with. You cannot be mean. You cannot be passive aggressive. You cannot put a little insult or a dig inside of something that sounds wonderful and positive, because that doesn't work. People will hear it. So, for instance, in a mediation, I will hear if finances are one of the main issues in the divorce, people are not making enough money, one person is unable to pull their weight, so to speak, that will definitely drive a marriage to divorce. And so here's a little example of things I've heard in the past in many different mediations. The higher wage earner will say to the lower wage earner, well, I just want everything to be fair and good, and I want everything to work out, even though you kind of didn't make any money and it, caused us a lot of financial problems. That's okay. I just want to be fair. All right. So inside of that was you caused us financial problems. So do you think the person listening to this is going to be happy when they hear it? Possibly not. Do you think they're going to be embarrassed or angry? Definitely yes. This happened in a couple different mediations in the last few years. That type of statement was made, and the other person receiving it said, that really hurt my feelings. I don't know why you're doing that. We're here to negotiate a settlement. You don't have to bring up the past, and certainly nothing derogatory about me. And to be honest with you, as a mediator, I'm really uncomfortable when one person offends, insults, undresses the other person. It puts me in a really difficult position. So, what I've learned to do, which in order to stay neutral, but to help the clients, I say at the beginning of my mediations, please don't be offended. I want to help you communicate better so that you can be heard, so that you can be understood, so your message can be received, and so that you can have the person listening to you, your soon to be former spouse, willing to negotiate and bend in your direction and compromise. The more you insult the other spouse, the more you're putting a match to your settlement. I'm going to say it again. The more you insult the other spouse, the more you are lighting a match to whatever compromise settlement they might have given you had you not embarrassed them, offended them, insulted them. It never, ever works. And I do get the frustration of somebody, if it is a financial issue, I get the frustration that you have carried the weight. You, as the higher wage earner, have carried the weight in the family. And maybe it wasn't enough to really enjoy life. It was just enough to pay the bills, and you really needed a second income, but the other person wasn't producing for whatever reason. And it honestly doesn't matter. If you're getting divorced, you're getting divorced. You don't need to go over why that person wasn't able to produce financially. You just have to accept that they weren't and move it forward. Do the best you can. But it is those little insults and digs couched inside of a positive sounding message that is equally destructive as just out and out saying an insult. It's the same. It's really the same. And please don't put your mediator in a position that they are uncomfortable and don't know how to move forward, or have to say something about the way you communicate. So the way I do it, I like, let me help you. Communication isn't easy for anybody, especially when you're in a divorce. Do you mind if I help you rephrase? And I want to tell you, not one person in 12 years ever said, no, Judy, I don't want you to help me. Everybody's looking for help communicating, whatever they can get as a helpful tool and measure to having a better negotiation in a divorce mediation. Most people are up for, they really are. Okay, number 2, the way you dress. Lest you think I'm being shallow. And on a good day, I can be as shallow and bougie as the next person. But this is important. The way you dress matters. Do not come looking disheveled like you just cleaned the house or the yard. That doesn't play well in mediation. It is an undercurrent. No one's going to say anything. Of course, no one's going to remark on how you dress. Just know it's an indication of how you feel about yourself. Now, that being said, you can take me to task on this. I don't mind. There are people who are professional speakers who dress in jeans. I mean, you can even look at some of these TEDx talks and these TED Talks. Hasn't Bill Gates showed up in jeans or casual clothes? Well, it's Bill Gates, for heaven's sakes. I guess he can dress any way he wants, right? We have to be comfortable. We have to be who we are. I'm not suggesting that you play a part that isn't you, but I am telling you, if you are disheveled, if your hair is a mess, if your clothes aren't pressed, if you don't look clean, it's hard to get respect. And so I had a mediation a while ago where the husband was the lower wage earner and the wife was dragged. She started an affair with somebody who made more money because that was attractive to her. And let me just say, money is attractive to women. Money isn't the only reason why women get married. Please don't get me wrong. But women need to feel secure, even in this day and age, especially since women are still the ones who have babies. Women need to feel secure that they are married to somebody who can earn well so that they don't have to worry if they need to take time off for pregnancy leave, maternity leave. So it depends on the profession that you're in, though. And I understand a man can be at the top of his profession and love his profession and should stay in that profession. And if a woman is in a different profession that makes a lot more money, well, you just have to deal with it. Because if your husband is at the top of his profession and he's making the most he can possibly make, but he's a fireman, he's a policeman. I mean, even the highest paid isn't like making corporate CEO money. I mean, there is a basic difference, but my God, police and fire, don't we love these people more than anything? When we need them, we do. The way we show up matters. This is the title of a book that a good friend of mine and colleague, Dr. Deborah Dupree, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. She wrote a book, The Way You Show Up Matters, and it was to mediation. And she talked about some of these things. We get respect by the way we look. Now, you should not judge a book by its cover. I have learned that years ago, and it's always top of mind. I want to tell you, some of the most casually dressed people who come to my office have $3 million in their savings account and a ton of real estate. So no, 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 you don't judge a book by its cover, but when you are mediating, if you look good, I mean, look like you're going to a wedding. You know, when you're going to a wedding, even though you may hate every second about going to a wedding or some kind of family affair, you get a lot of compliments, don't you? When you look good, you look hot. You get a lot of compliments. People just respect the fact that you've taken the time to dress well. It just shows It shows a level of caring and a level of pride that you take. And then going in tandem with that, the next point, being on time. Don't come late. Never come late. Now, in Los Angeles or New York or any other major city, we have traffic constantly. So you leave early. And if you have to use a business day to go to a mediation appointment or any kind of legal appointment, just take extra time. Do not come late. It doesn't play well. Nobody respects late because you're infringing on everybody else's time who came on time. Excuse me, who came early. You're infringing on people's time. People's time, and I'm a bear about this, is my highest priority. Time. The way I use time, I try and use every second of the day well, until it's time to watch TV at night, of course, and I watch the Bravo reality shows. I claim they're about conflict resolution, and they are, as staged as they are, and as overproduced as they can be, and out of sequence as they may be edited to create a different drama or storyline. They're still about conflict and resolution. But until that happens at 8 o'clock at night, I try and use every second. And I am so upset if I'm even going to be on time, let alone a couple minutes late. Not my style. No, no. I consider my time valuable. I consider everybody else's time valuable. When I have appointments at the office, I put time, if I can, if it's not a crazy killer day, in between appointments so that I can reorganize myself and be fresh and ready for the next appointment. When you are coming to the dreaded mediation appointment, and I get it, nobody wants to be there, but you got to do it. It's so much better than going to court if you're able to talk to one another, if you're able to compromise and make deal points with each other, go off the grid legally, make something, make an agreement that works for you. Who cares what the law is, that works for you? But you got to be on time, because if you're not, then your mediator could be angry, your lawyer could be angry. Well, your lawyer's getting paid a lot of bucks anyway. Your spouse can be angry. It's just a horrible way. It's a horrible statement to make to start the mediation. It looks like you value your time more than you value the time of everybody else who's relying on you. And it's so important to understand that we rely on each other. We rely on each other to be focused, to want to be kind and understanding, to want to be in a conciliatory state of mind, and want to roll up your sleeves and do the best you can. It's always the best way. Time is our most valuable commodity. And lastly, be prepared. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how being unprepared, it ruins everything. You can't get any work done when people are unprepared. If you're prepared and your soon-to-be former spouse isn't, you have to pull that person's weight along with your own. We have to stop the mediation, see if we can get on the computers that they brought with them, and access the password to get online in the office, to look for the statements they didn't bring, to have me print them out. I mean, we're talking about time. We're inappropriately using time. And what I've noticed is I tried to go to a new schedule this year. I really wanted to see how I could eliminate as much stress as humanly possible from the divorce filing experience that I provide to my clients. And I thought, well, why not work on the disclosures even closer with them? So I put together a new approach. I said, let's go through the asset and debt form. Let's put check marks next to the assets that apply to you. And then I showed them where it explained the support document that they were supposed to bring to confirm value of what they said the value was on the disclosure form. And then I'll fill out the forms with you. I'll make sure they're right. I'll organize your support documents when you bring them in the office, and I will exchange them between both of you. And so I thought, this is in place of a million emails back and forth over a series of weeks, and everybody becomes stressed when something takes too long. They have to do it themselves, and I get it. I get it. You're holding it together as much as you can emotionally and financially to get through the divorce filing. I really get it. And I want to be helpful, but does everybody bring in their support documents? No. They come in apologizing. Well, then why are you at the meeting? I can't do anything for you. Well, with the Gen Zers and the millennials, I can. So, those are the great two groups of people I love working with. Why? Everything's on the phone. As much as I hate having our lives in a device in our hands, because if you lose it, you lose your life. But when I have these meetings, these disclosure meetings, boy, do I love that the Gen Zers and the millennials have everything on their phone, even the license plates to their cars. So I have a soft spot in my heart for these two generations. But it happens. It's happening. I still haven't figured out if there's another method for helping people organize. I just think on a good day, people aren't organized. People are form challenged, and now you have a divorce and you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, and just getting dressed in the morning, going to your job becomes a big deal, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And hopefully you're in a job which is fun, you enjoy being there, and it can take your mind off of the divorce. I always tell people, do not do your divorce on the job. Don't do it. Use your job as your respite. Don't answer emails, texts, phone calls. Just do your job. And I think that should be a little break for you in the divorce hamster wheel. But being prepared. Be prepared when you go to your meetings, when your depositions, whatever you have to do, hearings, and divorce mediations with disclosures. Be prepared. Those who are prepared get things done. Those who aren't prepared don't, and it bogs things down, and you wonder why you're getting divorced. So, if we could use the divorce experience to shore up uh, inconsistencies that we have, little baby failings that we have, habits, not failings, habits that we could fine tune and hone and get better at, then we could at least, there's a silver lining in the divorce. I always like to find a silver lining in everything. But these are all ways we communicate. It's the words we choose, the tone of voice we use, the behavior that we exhibit, from the way we dress, the way we show up, um, timeliness, and whether we're prepared or not. It's all communication. It's not just words coming out of our mouths. It's all communication. We are communicating. We are telling the other person how much we care about our involvement in this process called mediation for divorce. And the more we're together, the more we're organized, the more we have forgiven, the more we are conciliatory in the way we talk, not insulting, that we have taken the time to comb our hair, uh, iron the clothes, look good. Somebody's laughing over ironing. I know, I know. Uh, being prepared with everything. The respect that you will get will be unbelievable. believable. And the result that you will get will be much more positive than if you didn't adhere to any of these points that I just brought up. So that's my message for today. Communication moves mountains, especially in divorce and any other conflict you may be in. I hope this was helpful. I'd love to have your comments. I always enjoy responses from people. If you think this episode is helpful to anybody you know, please send it to them, share it. Please like this episode. And if you're not a subscriber, if you've just run across this podcast, please subscribe. And let me know if there are any other topics you would like me to approach. I'm always open for doing that. And lastly, as always, from the Amicable Divorce Expert.com, have an amicable day.